Not every bit of spatial data that someone would like to use for a project is going to be available in complete nationwide coverage, because there are an infinity of projects, ideas, tasks, and studies that someone might like to do. Having soils and land use and topography and all of the basic data sets, including imagery, is an extremely good way to start and forms the foundation and bulk of many projects. But many projects also require more specialized information that is not available in a GIS data set, such as a shapefile or a personal geodatabase or a KML or common format. What might be found and is actually quite usable is map or spatial data that actually is in just a JPEG format. And normally one would consider this to be not a useful data set for a GIS, because it's basically just a picture of a piece of paper. It's not a spatial data set. It's not digital. However, it is possible to take a JPEG, such as this image, which shows the migration routes for raptors in North America, and it seems to be one of the few really decent representations of the important migration routes. It is possible to do something called georeferencing and followed up by heads-up digitizing with a map such as this. It's already been scanned, so it's already in the format of a JPEG, but I was able to find this and download it. I've started a map I've started a map project with a base map that is zoomed to approximately the same area as the image that I'm going to call in, and now I have a working base map or reference map, which is already georeferenced. This space that I'm working in here is georeferenced, and all I need to do is to take the image and move it around and stretch it or shrink it until it fits, and then capture that stretching, shrinking, and moving process in order to get this image completely georeferenced. That task is done using something called the Geo Referencing Toolbar, and I can use the Geo Referencing Toolbar and place it there, turn on the image, and it is possible to say as an initial step, fit to display. And what that does is it makes a rough approximation of placing this image, just placing it inside of the workspace and making it roughly fit. And as one can see by turning this on and off, it's reasonably close, but not that great. So what we need to do now is just what you would do if these were overlays on acetate sitting on a desk and you wanted to put one on top of the other and match them up. You would just slide them around until they matched. What's nice about the GIS is you can also stretch them, and that's a process called georeferencing. Well, to do that, one step that's useful, and I'm always trying to teach little GIS generalities along the way, is to ask this layer to be partially transparent, and I think I'm going to go with 70% on this. And so I've made it 70% transparent, so now it is possible to see both things at the same time. And if we zoom in on a more familiar location, it is somewhat possible to see the state of Florida where it really is in this workspace, and the state of Florida where the map seems to be placing it. And from these information, it's possible for us to slide and stretch the map around using the process of georeferencing. And I'm going to begin that process right now and click on, and basically it's just a clicking and dragging, And what I'm going to do is take the find a point on the image and then click where it actually belongs. And I've had a pretty good success just in the very first shot at this. I've managed to get the image to overlay fairly well with just like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and find some other locations to match up. I think I'm going to aim for this little peak up here of whatever part of Canada that's called, and I will use my drag tool again and click that and drag that to where it actually belongs. And this process will continue for a little while until I add enough points that it stretches and moves the thing around. So I'm going to pause the video while I finish that process. Now at this point the process is pretty much complete. The sketch JPEG map that I tried to bring in was significantly distorted compared with the real geography of the world, and so therefore it was very hard to match because it was an entirely different projection and georeferencing system. What I tried to do is tried to make it match, make the best matches occur in the eastern United States for the point that I'm about to show. And in order to complete the process, I just say update georeferencing. And now this image is, at least in this vicinity, fairly well registered to the real Earth. It drifts off a ways in South America and way up in the Arctic, where there's a lot more distortion. So that's how this map gets captured in the spatial data geographic digital world. What the next video will show is how we can actually turn this image into actual usable, manipulatable, and analyzable digital data, rather than just an image that happens to present itself in the correct place on the Earth.